Welcome to the Vocal About Visuals podcast. My name is Kishore Ganesh, and today I will be talking about Superman, Red Sun. Even before I got into the movie, I was drawn to the title, Superman, Red Sun. Yes, on the surface it indicates the communist leanings of Superman in the movie. He is a son of the soil, Soviet soil. He belongs to Mother Russia. But this thought struck me that, maybe there is more to this title. I mean, at this point, I might be just speculating, or there might be similar thoughts echoed on the internet as well. I'm not sure. But what came to my mind was whether the Red Sun was also alluding to the fact that Superman is vulnerable to the Red Sun. Now, for listeners who are unaware of the myth of Superman, here's the crash course. Superman is an alien being from the planet of Krypton. His parents sent this baby, Kal-El, in a spaceship right before Krypton was about to explode. Now, his home planet, Krypton, had the Red Sun, and on his home planet, his parents and all the other Kryptonians were normal individuals. That is, they did not possess any superhuman, abilities. And had Kal-El still been on Krypton, he wouldn't have had any of his superpowers either. No invincibility, no near immortality, no faster than a locomotive, no flying, no heat rays from the eyes, nothing. But because he crash landed on Earth, and the Earth is powered by the yellow sun, the yellow radiation is what gives Superman all his powers. By naming this particular take on Superman as the Red Sun, maybe the creators were alluding to the fact that this particular story would speak about the man behind Superman, about his vulnerabilities, about how he could actually feel pain in this story. And by the end of the movie, I kind of figured that this train of thought was in fact accurate. The movie showcases a man, despite being super, come up short. Despite having superpowers, even he fails to bring about the change that he wishes to see in the world. Whether those changes are good or bad, well, that debate is what a large part of the story is all about. The movie is set in the period of 1946 to 1983. All the important characters of the Superman mythology are presented in a slightly Elseworldian fashion, which is of course what the comic series was also called. The comic series on which the movie is based on, that is. You have Perry White and Jimmy Olsen. Jimmy Olsen, in fact, is playing Biden. Well, not exactly, but you'll know when you watch the movie. You, of course, have Lois Lane, Lex Luthor, Brainiac, along with the who's who of the DC world. The movie begins with a scene in which a boy is being chased by a bunch of bullies. The age of this group seems to be around 10 to 12 years old. This group is further pursued by another girl called Svetlana, who happens to be around 10 years old. The chasee runs behind a Soviet-era tractor and then suddenly seems to disappear. The bullies are perplexed by this and threaten the boy, saying the next time they will catch him, he's going to pay. One of the bullies is then battered with a stone, and yet another gets punched in the face by Svetlana. She seems to be the protector of the boy who has run away. The bullies exit the scene, saying, if you weren't a girl, we would have probably beaten you up. The chasee, who has been missing throughout this entire interaction, suddenly appears again, and Svetlana tells him that he cannot keep running away from bullies like this. He has to stand up for himself because she will not always be around to protect him. The chasee then replies, "But Svetlana, I'm not running away from them because I'm afraid of what they will do to me. I'm running away from them because of what I might be able to do to them. After this completely gangster statement, he lifts up the Soviet era tractor, and this is followed by him lifting Svetlana and flying up into the sky. Svetlana recommends that these kind of superhuman powers should be used for the betterment of the USSR and asks him to commit himself to the betterment of the state. The boy, of course, is Superman, and the girl represents a doe-eyed idealist. Cut to the future, Superman has now become the Soviet Union's greatest weapon and also a PR tool. His superhuman exploits have put the entire world on edge, none more so than the USA. The USA has called upon the greatest mind in its arsenal, Lex Luthor. The first move that Lex Luthor makes in his campaign to bring down Superman is to inform him of what is actually going on in the USSR. Superman gets to know about the gulags, about the deaths and the misery of millions. Post this, a whole bunch of shocking things happen, which I'm not going to reveal here because I don't want to spoil it for you guys. But let's just say that Superman then becomes the ruler of the USSR. Superman as a character lends himself to scary fantasies where humanity's ability to create its own collective destiny is snatched away by an almighty force. It is kind of comforting when the force is evil and you can hate on the bad guy. But what happens if this force is of a benevolent dictator type? Then it starts getting tricky because most of humanity would seemingly prefer a more structured authoritarian regime as opposed to a far more messy but liberal and liberated democracy. In this story, Soups is more of a rogue class monitor than the Boy Scout. The Man of Steel rules his citizens with iron fists. Blinded by ideology, Soups ends up doing corrective surgery on dissidents so that they lose their ability to have troublesome views. As is the case with all dictators, there is the radical opposition and the moderate one. The radical opposition here is brought by who else but Batman, the only man who can probably truly intimidate Superman. And the moderate opposition is brought by Wonder Woman, who, in addition to being the moderate opposition, is also the conscience of Superman. In fact, it is three different women who act as the externalized conscience of Superman. We have Svetlana, Lois Lane, and finally Wonder Woman. And because Wonder Woman is tasked with being Superman's conscience, throughout the movie, she just feels sad and disappointed at what he does. Granted, it is not her movie, but come on, she could have done more. Throughout the movie, I kept wishing that Wonder Woman would just break out and grab the storyline by the scruff of its neck and bring about a monumental change in the movie. But alas, that wasn't the case. I just wish the writers could have at least given her some expositionary lines that could stir the emotions and make us reflect on the world. Another thought that came to my mind was that Wonder Woman had the option of washing her hands of the man's world when she wished. But the other prominent female characters of the story, such as a Lois or a Svetlana, did not have that option. They did not have the option of shutting shop when they pleased and leave the man's world because the man's world is also their world. And even if they wished that they could do the same thing that Wonder Woman could, they had no choice but to stay, survive, and fight on. Next up, we have my most favorite superhero of all time, Batsy, aka Batman, who in this story is the rebel leader. He is the only man who could bring Superman to his knees and make him feel fear and pain. And without making this his movie, just steals the show in 2 minutes and gets out. The Green Lantern Corps are honestly here just as a reference and are a joke. So yeah. The antagonist of this movie is Lex Luthor, but he's a good guy? Well, let's say he's more anti-hero than an out-and-out hero. Luthor is among my favorite characters in this movie, and his strengths are being used for good and yet are anti-Superman. So, the essence of Luthor's character is retained. Their conflict, set against the backdrop of the Cold War, is riveting and essentially what makes this movie a great watch. Superman Red Son is a thoroughly enjoyable, emotional, and intelligent movie that does not side with one ideology, capitalism, over another, communism. It instead chooses to focus on the actions of the people who hide behind these ideologies and how that shapes the world around them. It acts as a commentary on authoritarianism and leaves us with a message of hope that at the end of the day, the inherent decency of people will prevail. For me personally, this movie inhabits that overlapping area of the Venn diagram where two of my interests, comic books and politics, meet, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. Big boy stories in the form of cartoons? More for me, please. Check the movie out on Amazon Prime India, and thank you for listening.